Throughout the history of Israel, many formidable warriors and even unlikely heroes have stood out for their great feats. While many of these warriors are well known to Bible readers such as Joshua, Samson, and David, there are also others whose names many people have never heard. Benaiah is one of those warriors unknown to many. Just as Joshua was a skilled warrior leader and Samson, Benaiah also killed a lion, and like David, Benaiah faced and killed a giant enemy. Furthermore, Benaiah was the commander of David's personal guard and later ended up being in charge of ending the life of one of Israel's most emblematic generals and taking his place. For those who do not know, Benaiah was the warrior who killed and succeeded Joab, the famous commander of David's army. Interestingly, besides being a warrior, Benaiah also belonged to the tribe of the Levites, and in this video you will understand everything the Bible says about who Benaiah was and what his importance was in biblical history. We can start by understanding that Benaiah was a great warrior and officer of the Israelite army during the reigns of David and Solomon. His father was named Joiada, and he was a native of Kabzeel, a remote city in the south of Judah near the border of Edom. The name Benaiah or Benaiahs means Yahweh builds and is a contracted form of Yahweh builds. This name was very common in biblical times, especially among the Levites. The figure of Benaiah, intertwined with tradition and biblical history, emerges not only as a formidable warrior but also as a prominent member of the Levitical caste, which adds depth and complexity to his character. The duality of his role as a fighter and religious figure is significantly highlighted because of his lineage. His father, Joiada, was a priest, a descendant of Aaron, and is recorded in the first book of Chronicles as a renowned spiritual leader. This connection with Aaron's priestly line was not merely symbolic. Imbued with deep religious and cultural significance, it provided Benaiah with a position of respect both spiritually and militarily. In the context of biblical times, the name Benaiah was common, reflecting a popularity that might stem from its meaning associated with divine strength and protection. No less than 12 individuals with this name are mentioned throughout the scriptures, underlining the reverence and positive connotations of the same. Among these, another notable Benaiah, originating from Pirathon in Ephraim, also distinguished himself as one of David's valiants and commanded a significant contingent of 24,000 men, taking care of administrative and military tasks during the 10th month of each year. However, Benaiah, son of Joiada, our main subject of interest, earned a special place in the biblical chronicles through his extraordinary achievements. In chapter 11 of the first book of Chronicles, several of his most notable feats are narrated, which not only demonstrated his bravery but also his ability to face and overcome insurmountable challenges. A particularly bold act was when he faced alone two of the most feared warriors of Moab, defeating them in a confrontation that many would have considered suicidal. Here the chronicler uses a Hebrew word that confuses many scholars to this day due to its ambiguous translation. However, it is generally interpreted that these warriors were as formidable as lions, reflecting the ferocity and respect they inspired. Furthermore, in an event that seems taken from the most vibrant legends, the biblical text tells us how Benaiah, on a cold, snowy day, descended into a cave and killed a lion. This act not only symbolizes the conquest of wild and fearsome nature, but also serves as a metaphor for triumph under extreme circumstances. The direct comparison with Samson, another biblical hero who faced a lion, is not fortuitous. It illustrates how Benaiah, despite being in an even more desperate situation, also managed to prevail. This episode reflects not only his physical courage, but also his resilience and ability to overcome adversities that would seem insurmountable. These stories, rich in symbolism and meaning, not only entertain and inspire, but also offer valuable lessons about courage, faith, and determination. Benaiah, through his life, becomes a model of how faith and bravery can coexist and strengthen each other, providing a lasting legacy that resonates through generations in the biblical narrative. His life reminds us that in the worst circumstances, with faith and courage, victories that seem impossible can be achieved. For this reason, a well-known Baptist preacher in English spoke of Benaiah as someone who encountered the worst of enemies in the worst of places, under the worst of circumstances, and yet he prevailed. Moreover, Benaiah also faced and killed an Egyptian warrior who was over 2 meters and 20 centimeters tall. On that occasion, Benaiah was armed only with a staff, while the Egyptian giant was equipped with a large spear. But Benaiah took the spear from the Egyptian and killed him. Exploring the life of Benaiah from a biblical historical perspective reveals not only a fearless warrior, but also a cunning and dedicated leader. The biblical text tells us that Benaiah started his path of leadership in command of a small group of 30 men, which at first glance may seem modest. However, this early position was the foundation for a remarkable military career. Benaiah was assigned to lead a special contingent called the Cherethites and Pelethites. These names may not be immediately recognizable, but they are believed to represent a type of mercenary force or elite guard that personally served King David. These men were not ordinary soldiers. They were chosen for their exceptional skills and unwavering loyalty, qualities that Benaiah exemplified and demanded. During the reign of David, Benaiah was elevated to an even more impressive command position. He was appointed the third commander of the army of Israel with direct responsibility over 24,000 soldiers. In his role, Benaiah not only executed military strategies but also took care of important national affairs in the third month of each year. This attribution underscores his competence not only as a military leader, but also as an administrator, playing a crucial role in the management of the kingdom. Benaiah's loyalty to David remained steadfast even in turbulent times. When the stability of the kingdom was threatened by a conspiracy to place Adonijah on the throne, Benaiah stood firm. He did not support the coup against the established king and instead supported the rise of Solomon, a testament to his integrity and loyalty. After Adonijah's attempt to usurp the throne failed, Benaiah played a crucial role in reaffirming Solomon's power. He was tasked with the grim but necessary task of executing Joab, the then commander of the army, who had supported Adonijah. Joab sought refuge at the altar, a place traditionally associated with divine protection, but even this desperate act did not save him. Benaiah carried out Solomon's orders, eliminating a significant threat to the new king. Benaiah's loyalty and willingness to execute difficult orders were rewarded when he was named the new commander of the army of Israel. He was also tasked with the duty of eliminating Adonijah, an act that further solidified Solomon's reign. These actions, although severe, were seen as essential for the stability and continuity of governance. Benaiah's trajectory reflects the complexity of his time and highlights his unique ability to navigate the intricate dynamics of power within Israel. His story is not just a series of military feats, but also a lesson in loyalty, leadership, and commitment to just governance. Through his service, Benaiah not only protected a kingdom, but also helped shape the course of biblical history, demonstrating that courage and faith can transcend the battlefield and greatly influence politics and religion. In conclusion, we can say that the story of Benaiah is indeed very interesting. We saw that he was born to serve as a priest, but became an extraordinary warrior. It is curious to know that Benaiah is the only priest in the Bible who became a soldier in biblical history. There are records of priests who became prophets of God in Israel. The prophet Jeremiah, for example, was one of these. But Benaiah, although he was a priest like Jeremiah, was called to a very different ministry. He was used by God not as his spokesperson to the people, but as his soldier to preserve the dynasty of the house of David, through which later Jesus Christ came into the world. Benaiah was crucial for Solomon, the king who built the Temple of Jerusalem to be established on the throne of Israel. Thus, Benaiah is a great example of loyalty, bravery, and service in the work of God. Obviously, none of us expect to have to literally fight against powerful warriors or a fierce lion as happened with him, but we are all called to show the same kind of commitment, resilience, and courage in the ministry of the gospel. Even just as Benaiah was a kind of priest-soldier, in the New Testament, believers